The moment the Scotts walked through their new property, it was clear they were stepping into a major new chapter, one that mixed excitement, planning, frustration, and ambition all in one space. As they moved through the unfinished rooms, imagining what everything would soon become, you could feel the energy shift. They weren't just looking at walls and empty corners. They were shaping a home, debating ideas, and mapping out details that would define their family's future. Every conversation, every measurement, and every comment revealed just how much thought and emotion was going into this space. This wasn't simply a renovation. It was a full transformation, and both of them had strong opinions about how everything should look and function. As they walked into what would eventually become the heart of the home, the first disagreement appeared right away. A designer. They joked about needing one, but the comment carried weight. The belief that one of them was already the designer created a playful but real tension. One believed they had the vision, the taste, the eye. The other simply nodded, knowing the battle wasn't worth fighting because this back and forth had already become a natural part of their communication. The idea of, "you're the designer," was said with a smile, but underneath it was the acceptance that someone had a stronger voice in this process. It was a moment that set the tone for the rest of the walkthrough. They continued moving deeper into the kitchen area, where the real layout conversations began. The kitchen wasn't just a kitchen to them. It was the center of everything. Meals, mornings, family moments, late-night talks, all of it. The plan was for the kitchen to sit in the back, the living area to stretch out beside it, and the island to stand as the anchor between both spaces. This meant there wouldn't be a formal dining room, something many people insist on. But for them, it wasn't a loss. Their style was more open, more modern, more functional. The island and table space would give them everything they needed, without an extra room that would barely be used. As they pointed toward the back wall, the picture began to take shape. Floor-to-ceiling cabinets would run across the entire back section, giving them storage, style, and a clean, uninterrupted look. More cabinets would continue down another wall, making sure there was no shortage of space. On the side, another tall cabinet would rise up, meeting the ceiling and adding to the modern, streamlined design they were going for. And that's when the first major feature came up, the hidden pull-out cabinet for the coffee maker. This was more than just a cabinet. This was a personal victory. After years of filling the coffee maker by hand, dealing with drips, spills, and the annoyance of running out of water at the wrong time, they finally planned ahead. A water line would run directly to the machine so that no one ever had to fill it again. The excitement about something as simple as a coffee line said everything about how personal this home build was. It was not just about luxury. It was about ease, about daily moments being smoother, about little details making life better. Moving across the room, they pointed out a drain line and debated what it would connect to, showing that even though they were deep into planning, not everything had a clear answer yet. These small unknowns are part of every build, little questions that pop up even when the big vision is clear. But they continued anyway, mapping out where every appliance would sit. The stove would go in the center area, a gas burner with an electric oven, something many people love for the combination of control and consistency. It was a perfect mix for their style of cooking and the feeling they wanted their kitchen to bring. Beside it, the beverage cooler would slide into place, giving the kitchen a sleek, modern flow. The cabinets surrounding it would create balance, making sure everything looked intentional and organized. Then came the fridge placement, which was decided by the water line already sitting in the walls. They didn't have the freedom to move that spot, but they were fine with it. The fridge would sit at the end, completing the main triangle of the kitchen layout. The walkthrough continued with a focus on walk space. They talked about the lights, about the distance between the cabinets and the island, and about making sure there was enough room to move comfortably. They didn't want a tight kitchen where everyone bumped into each other. They wanted open space, flow, comfort. The sink would sit along the island, with the dishwasher and microwave nearby. Whenever they described something, you could picture it. each detail coming together to form a modern, thoughtful kitchen that matched their lifestyle. They discussed the table area, which would be built into the counter. It wouldn't be bar height, but it would blend smoothly with the design. They could already imagine how it would look. Clean lines, simple colors, and a look that brought everything together without trying too hard. They wanted something that felt natural, not forced, something stylish but still warm. And as they talked, it became clear they were not building this home just for themselves. They were thinking long-term. The idea came up that once they eventually move out, the house would already be ready to go on the market. Everything they were choosing, from the layout to the materials, was meant to add value to the home, so that when the day came, there would be no stress. No extra changes needed, no outdated features. Just a clean, modern house ready for someone new. That kind of planning showed just how intentional everything was. They weren't just building for their current life, they were preparing for the future. Another important detail came when they mentioned the fireplace. They had already run a gas line to it, something that adds value, warmth, and convenience. Gas fireplaces are a luxury feature, and adding one now meant they wouldn't have to tear up the walls later. They were thinking ahead, making choices that would benefit them months and years from now. Then came the issue of the tankless water heater. With more people in the house and longer showers happening, the old water heater just wasn't enough. A tankless system would give them endless hot water, something every big family needs. They were tired of rushing, tired of cold water halfway through the morning, and tired of juggling shower times. This upgrade promised to bring peace back to the house. When they moved downstairs, their vision shifted into something more flexible. They had plans for the lower level, but they weren't ready to start yet. The most important thing was finishing the outside so that the house looked complete from the street. That meant getting the windows installed right away. Once the exterior was finished, they could slow down and decide what they really wanted to do with the downstairs area. For now, they were putting that part on pause. But not before an unexpected idea came up, turning the entire downstairs into a giant closet. It was said almost casually, but the meaning behind it was real. Closet space had always been a challenge, and the idea of having an entire level dedicated to clothing, storage, and personal space felt like a dream. One of them didn't care one way or another. It was their partner's idea, and they were fine with it. If that's what would make things easier, then so be it. And honestly, it made sense. Upstairs closets were already being fully redesigned with floor-to-ceiling glass, custom California closets, and updated doors. Having the downstairs as a personal storage haven wasn't a joke. It was a real possibility. Upstairs, the vision continued. They had chosen 8-foot doors for the 3 bedrooms, something that instantly makes a home feel more expensive and more modern. But somehow, nothing was ordered for the bathroom, which became a moment of mild frustration. Another door would have to be purchased because the bathroom also needed to match the flow. They wanted consistency. They wanted everything to look intentional, not mismatched. They also had a pivot door coming for another section of the house, something very sleek and modern. But the side panel needed to be custom made. These are the kinds of details that sound stressful, but make all the difference in luxury homes. A pivot door stands out. It makes a statement. It says the home was designed with care and attention, and that's exactly what they wanted. The conversation then moved toward the ceilings. Getting rid of the popcorn ceiling was one of the best decisions they made. The moment they removed it, the entire house started to feel younger. Popcorn ceilings immediately age a home, and taking them down brought a fresh, clean, modern feel. It was one of the biggest transformations even before the rest of the updates were finished. As they walked through the home talking about each feature, each problem, and each choice, their personalities came out in full colors. One of them was focused on details, measurements, materials, lines, and design. The other was focused on comfort, space, and practicality. Together, they created a balance that made the plans stronger. Every time one of them suggested something, the other added to it or adjusted it, turning each idea into a real decision. Their conversations were quick, thoughtful, and filled with inside jokes and moments of honesty. Everything from cabinet height to the placement of the beverage cooler mattered to them. They weren't rushing through anything. They were carefully imagining how their family would live in each room, where the kids would play, where they would relax, how mornings would feel, how holidays would look, how the home would function on busy days and slow days. What made this process so interesting was how natural it all felt. They weren't arguing. They weren't overwhelmed. They were simply building a home together, one idea at a time. And even when a detail confused them, like whether a certain pipe was a drain line or a cleanout, they didn't overreact. They discussed it calmly and kept moving. The deeper they went into the walkthrough, the more you could see the bigger picture. This wasn't just about cabinets and floors. This was about building a space that reflected their growth, their family, their lifestyle, their taste. This home represented years of work, years of sacrifice, years of ideas that finally had a place to come to life. The blend of modern design, thoughtful choices, and forward planning showed that they weren't just thinking about now. They were thinking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and even the next family that may one day live in the same space. They wanted a home that brought comfort but also held value. A home that could be lived in and loved without feeling outdated or overwhelming. They also understood the importance of resale, not because they planned to leave right away, but because a smart home build always includes thinking ahead. Homes become investments when done right. And their choices, from the gas fireplace to the custom closets to the upgraded water heater, were all a reflection of that mindset. Every feature added meaning. Every change was purposeful. Every upgrade was part of a bigger strategy. And yet, despite all the planning, they still made sure the home reflected who they were. Their personality wasn't lost in the process. It was alive in every corner. And that's what made their walkthrough so powerful. It wasn't just a construction update. It was a glimpse into how they think, how they communicate, how they dream, and how they build a life together. You could feel the excitement under their calm voices. You could hear the pride in every decision. You could sense the relief that after all the waiting, things were finally coming together. The house was still unfinished, still dusty, still raw, but in their minds, it was already alive, filled, warm, beautiful, functioning, complete. The way they visualized each detail made it clear that they had already mentally moved in long before the builders finished their work. And even though the home still had months of work ahead, the Scotts were already shaping it. With every choice, with every debate, with every conversation, with every step they took through the empty rooms. They were creating not just a home, but a legacy built with intention, love, style, and purpose.